They thought they were safe. But then the sky turned black, and it started raining fire. What if I told you that the most terrifying part about Pompeii wasn't the eruption, but what we found buried underneath centuries later? Pompeii is the city frozen in time. You've probably seen the photos, the ash-covered bodies, the crumbling ruins, the eerie stillness. But what you haven't seen is what really went on behind those ancient Roman walls. This isn't just about a volcano. This is about a city full of secrets, dark, twisted, and buried deep beneath the ash. From brothels and blood rituals to underground tunnels and mysterious skeletons in places they shouldn't be, today we're digging into the real Pompeii. And by the end of this video, you might never look at Roman history or humanity the same way again. Let's rewind the clock. It's the year 79 AD. Pompeii is thriving. It's a Roman resort town, packed with the rich, the powerful, and those who serve them. Think Las Vegas, but ancient and steamier, where politics, pleasure, and punishment all existed in the same twisted web. People lounged in spas, gambled in taverns, and indulged in desires most societies wouldn't dare whisper about. Life was good, or at least it looked that way on the surface, because underneath the glamorous villas and public bathhouses, there was a shadow side, one that archaeologists would only uncover almost 2,000 years later. First, the explosion. Mount Vesuvius didn't just erupt. It exploded with the force of 100,000 times the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Within minutes, a pyroclastic surge, basically a wall of 1,000-degree gas and debris, swept down the mountain at hurricane speeds. People didn't even have time to scream. Some died mid-step. Others froze while covering their faces. They were gone, frozen in the exact positions they were in when the blast hit. But the real story begins centuries later. When archaeologists began digging in the 1700s, they weren't just uncovering Roman ruins. They were peeling back layers of the human soul. And some of what they found was disturbing. Let's start with the bodies. You've seen the casts, the people curled up on floors, clutching loved ones. But one body didn't match the others. It wasn't found in a home. It wasn't found in a public square. It was found deep in a hidden cellar, chained to a wall. The man had been locked underground, forgotten. No key, no escape. No one even remembered he was there, until the ash revealed him. Who was he? A prisoner? A slave? A sacrifice? We'll never know. But he wasn't alone in the shadows. A few years after that discovery, researchers uncovered something even more bizarre. An entire room filled with surgical tools, scalpels, bone saws, and what appeared to be medical diagrams scratched into the walls. This was ancient Roman medicine. But it wasn't a hospital. It was hidden beneath a house, which means whoever practiced there didn't want anyone knowing what they were doing. Some experts believe it may have been an illegal surgical clinic. Others think it was used for something darker. Why? Because they also found human bones, tiny ones, possibly from children. And some of the bones showed signs of being cut or broken in ways that suggested experimentation, not healing. But the secrets didn't stop there. Move over to the famous Lupanar, the city's largest brothel. At first, it seemed like just another Roman red light district. Erotic frescoes, stone beds, even price lists scratched into the walls. But then they started finding names. Dozens of names. Not of the workers, of the clients. This was Pompeii's unofficial blacklist. Politicians, generals, priests, all documented in graphic detail. If you think ancient Rome was all statues and speeches, think again. It was a world of power, exploitation, and corruption, where pleasure and pain were currency. One particular fresco showed a disturbing scene. A man in a Roman senator's toga striking a bound figure. Next to it, someone had scratched the words, This is what justice looks like. Historians believe it was a warning, or maybe a confession. Now, let's talk about the skeletons in strange places. In 2018, archaeologists uncovered 2 skeletons in what was supposed to be a warehouse. One was lying flat. The other had been crushed by a massive stone block. His head literally popped like a grape. Theories flew fast. Was he looting the place? Did he die trying to escape? But then, researchers noticed something odd. He had a leather bag strapped to his back. Inside were rare tools, gems, and coins. This wasn't just some random thief. He was probably a specialist, maybe even a spy, or someone tasked with protecting something during the chaos. What was he doing in a warehouse? And more importantly, what was worth risking his life for? Now we come to the children. In one villa, they found a small bed, perfectly preserved. Next to it was a toy, a clay figure of a gladiator. But under the bed was a skeleton, a child, curled into a ball, alone. But that's not the most chilling part. Because nearby, on the villa's walls, were carvings. Small ones, repetitive scratches. At first, they looked random. But when put together, they formed a pattern. Names. Dozens of them. All children. Some had marks next to their names, tallies maybe. Were they keeping track? Was this a record of playmates? Or something more sinister? Then there's the villa with the locked room. Archaeologists found a chamber that hadn't been touched since the day of the eruption. Inside were shackles, not for animals, for people. And on the walls, carvings again. Only this time they were prayers, not to Roman gods, but to strange, unnamed deities, figures with no faces and twisted limbs, cult symbols, the kind that don't appear in any official Roman texts. Was this a secret religion, a death cult, or just desperate people trying to summon anything that would save them? Here's the thing, Pompeii wasn't just a city that died. It was a city hiding things even while it was alive. Let's not forget the graffiti. Pompeii was covered in it. Literally thousands of messages scratched into stone walls. Some were jokes, some were insults, but some were warnings. One read, "The fire comes for those who burn others." Another, "You cannot escape the ash. It lives in your breath." Prophecies, paranoia, or just very grim poetry. Whatever they were, they paint a picture of a city that, deep down, knew something bad was coming. And that brings us to the final mystery, the dog. In the house of Viconius Primus, they found a dog skeleton. That's not unusual, but what was odd was the position. It had been chained to a post. It had twisted violently before it died, leaving deep claw marks in the floor. But even more disturbing, beneath the dog, they found another skeleton, a child, possibly its owner. The dog had been trying to protect the child, chained, helpless, doomed to die with him. That's the thing about Pompeii. It's not just a story of disaster. It's a mirror. It shows us what people do when they think no one is watching, when survival is uncertain. When masks fall and real faces show, we see fear, greed, love, sacrifice, secrets. Some of the rooms in Pompeii were sealed shut for centuries, not because they were forgotten, but because they were too disturbing to face. Historians debated whether to open them, whether the public could handle what they might find. And every time we dig deeper, we find more. We're still uncovering bodies, still decoding graffiti, still puzzling over rituals, objects, and ruins that defy explanation. One day, someone will open another room, and what they find there may change everything we think we know.